government does not put in place measures to protect both the victims and the vulnerable in the society, there might be an experience of a repeat of history. Cecilia Lubanga brings us the details.
Ilikuwa wakati wa kura ya 2007-2008. Siku tunakimbia tunaenda kulala kwa patrol pace, asubuhi tunarudi kwa manyumba. Sasa hao maaskari wakati wanatoka kuenda kupatrol, wakirudi usiku wanaingia kwa room yetu. Wakakuja kututhreaten na kuturep pale.
Incidences of sexual violence have been witnessed in the country in the previous elections, with the majority being the vulnerable in the community, which includes women and children. Despite the fact that platforms have been created in the fight against this heinous act, the target is yet to be achieved.
Discussion around sexual and gender-based violence in the context of elections in this country is indeed a subject that needs to be amplified by all actors in this country.
With 19 days remaining to the August polls, a clarion call has been made to the government to ensure this year's elections go an extra mile to promote peace rather than war in order to counter the effects of violence such as rape and change what has been the repetition of history when it comes to elections in this country.
The reports from the 2007 elections monitoring projects, and the main report, the Waki report, that indeed sexual and gender-based violence was used as a tool of conflict.
In a two-day forum that saw the convention of various stakeholders in the fight against sexual violence, victims and human rights champions took to the podium to condemn the act and stigmatization of survivors.
Our spouses, children, parents and society stigmatize us, causing us to hide and withdraw, thus causing the vice to be perpetuated.
We remember women, men, and children who have died from sexual violence.
Sexual violence is undeniably a violation of human rights and has become the single most cruel, steadily growing crime in Kenya.
At least 201 reported cases of sexual violence that emerged from the 2017 post-election violence remain unresolved 5 years later, according to a report by the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights titled Silhouettes of Brutality.
Vijijini kuna survivors, hata kama sio ni katika vita vya siasa, lakini kuna waadhiriwa wengi.
Still pursuing petition number 122 of 2013, still on the subject matter, and especially for the victims and survivors of the 2007-2008 conflict.
Human rights groups are now raising fears of similar violence in the August 9th general elections.
Already signs of sexual and gender-based violence, the red flags have already been raised.
A detailed report of the current state is set to be released later next week. This could be a possible looming crisis if key players don't pay keen attention in the fight against heinous acts of sexual violence in the country. The victims have come together and amplified their voices in unison in the fight against the acts, and they've also called upon the government to fast-track the possibility of the same happening in the August or after the August elections. Cecilia Lubanga, Look Up TV, Nairobi.
Thank you, Lubanga. And